In the field of mathematics, there's a concept called chaos theory. Chaos theory attempts to explain the nature of complex systems, weather patterns, the stock market, traffic jams, and pandemics. But chaos theory also allows us to better understand every aspect of human existence, from biology to physics, from computer science to philosophy. At the center of chaos theory is the belief that very minute changes can result in very large changes in the later stage of a complex system. This hypothesis is called the butterfly effect, metaphorically implying that a butterfly flapping its wings in Texas can cause a hurricane in Thailand. What scientists have come to recognize and prove is that the little things in life can have a dramatic effect on the world. In 1993, I was on leave in San Antonio visiting my father. My father was a World War II fighter pilot and a career Air Force officer, and he was a very outgoing, gregarious fellow and never missed an opportunity to make new friends. That day, he had gone to the barbershop and struck up a conversation with the guy in the chair next to him. The fellow in the adjoining chair seemed to be equally outgoing, and in the course of the conversation, mentioned that his son, a high school senior, was looking to join the Navy. My father quickly piled on and told the man that, in fact, I was in the Navy. The fellow continued and proudly proclaimed that his son was looking to be a Navy SEAL. My father leaned back in the chair and announced that I was a Navy SEAL. Soon the two men had exchanged telephone numbers, and when my dad got home, he asked if I could call this young high school senior and give him some advice on becoming a Navy SEAL. That evening, I picked up the phone and talked to the young man for about 45 minutes. I explained to him the rigors of SEAL training, the difference between the officer path and the enlisted path, and eventually I wished him well. Soon afterwards, though, I quickly forgot about the phone call, and that weekend I returned to San Diego and got back to work. 17 years later, in 2010, I was a three-star admiral, commanding our most elite special operations forces in Afghanistan. An American contractor had been kidnapped by the Taliban and taken to a remote cave complex high in the Tora Bora region of Afghanistan. The Navy SEALs working for me had found the location of the cave complex and mounted an operation to rescue the American contractor. The mission was incredibly daring. The SEALs scaled the backside of the mountain and then descended quickly, surprising the Taliban. In dramatic fashion, the SEAL leading the rescue was able to kill two of the hostage takers and rescue the Americans seconds before one of the Taliban was preparing to kill him. The next day, the commander of the SEAL team brought the leader of the rescue mission by to meet me. Standing in my office, the commanding officer introduced me to the SEAL Senior Chief Petty Officer. I congratulated him on the rescue and thanked him for his remarkable courage. But as I was talking, I noticed that both men had a funny look on their face. They were grinning like two kids who knew something their parents didn't. Finally, the commanding officer said, "Sir, you and Senior Chief Jones have met before." I apologized for not remembering the meeting. The senior chief smiled and said quickly, "Well, sir, we didn't actually meet. We just talked, and it was 17 years ago. You called me at home and talked to me for a long time, and your talk inspired me to join the Navy SEALs." As it turned out, of course, Senior Chief Jones was a young high school boy from decades earlier. The senior chief, as it turns out, was highly decorated. His heroism over the years in combat had saved many lives, and he attributed it all to a single phone call. That is the butterfly effect. I saw the butterfly effect every day in combat. The actions or decisions of one officer or one NCO that changed the lives of dozens of men and women, and in doing so, changed the lives of their children and their children's children and their children's children. Entire generations of families alive and contributing because of one action, one decision that changed the destiny of so many. So what does that have to do with today? Well, the world today is as troubled as I have ever seen it in my 65 years. And while we are not in the midst of a great war or an economic collapse or a black plague, I believe we are in the midst of something maybe a little worse. A slow, methodical collapse of our faith in mankind. Statistics show that most people believe that our leaders are failing us, that our institutions are failing us, that we can't rely on our friends or neighbors, and that the world is spinning slowly out of control and we seem helpless to stop it. People today are deeply pessimistic about our future. However, in spite of all the nation's pessimism about our leaders and our institutions, you, the veterans of this great country, remain a bright spot in the nation's optimism. You give the nation hope. They know that if you served, you are honorable men and women. That if you served, you are duty-bound to the Constitution and all that it encompasses. If you served, you will work hard, be a great teammate, help those around you. If you served, you epitomize all that is good and decent and honorable about this great country. As the nation knows that if you put your mind to it, you, the veterans, can help solve these complex problems that we face today. I believe these people to be right. You can solve these problems. You can solve them one veteran at a time. It is the butterfly effect. If you lift up one homeless person, coach one youth soccer team, make dinner for one church function, donate to one charity, if you thank one policeman, one firefighter, one first responder, if you volunteer in one soup kitchen, if you call one friend who is struggling with their life, one family member who thinks differently than you, if you just take one small step and show others that you care, you have no idea how it might change the world. Today, there are 18 million veterans in the United States. Just imagine if each veteran only changed the lives of 10 people. In one generation, over 180 million lives would be improved. If those 180 million helped another 10 people, then in 2 generations, almost 2 billion lives would have been changed. And by the 3rd generation, the world itself would have been changed forever. The fact of the matter is, we don't need artificial intelligence, machine learning, trillions of dollars, and millions of PhDs to change the world. We just need a few good men and women who carry the values we learned in the military, the values of hard work, perseverance, honesty, integrity, compassion, and humility. We need veterans who pass those values on to the next generation. We need you to shape the future of the nation through your good works, compassion, and engagement with the citizens of America. We need you to do what you have done since you first wore the uniform. Be Americans at their very best. This approach to service has always been the hallmark of the VFW, and no one has done it better than Post 1.